Obviously, I'm a Shantae Moore person, so you know it is what it is. Good morning, good morning, good morning, y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming in. Welcome to his safe space where we kick this off on Thursdays. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we come in here into this place. And as you guys know, in this space, it's not about agreeing or disagreeing. That's not what we're here for. It is an opportunity for us to listen, to understand, to be respectful of the opinions and the life stories of our guests, because that is a thing. And out of this comes becomes like an opportunity for us to basically learn and grow. So I always appreciate the willingness, the transparency of our guests that come on here. And even when we don't have guests, the open panel discussion of the men that's willing to lend their voices so that we can get an understanding to some of the questions that we typically have, whether it's for the men to hear a different side and for the women to get, understanding from our own aspects. And so we know that this is a learning environment where we are intentional about hearing the voices of men to obtain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding as they share their secrets, dreams, needs, ideas, wants, experiences, and fears without judgment and being respectful of their opinions. So the goal is to have healthy discussions centered around topics that both men and women can learn and grow from. Now, if you're interested in being a guest on the show, you can contact me on IG at Doc Streams. All you have to do is click the banner at the very top and access my IG. You can send me a DM. You can also, if you do not have Instagram, you can also email me at windocdspeaks at gmail.com. And so just know that as we get into the show, I'm so glad that that happened so that I can turn that sound off. Thank you so much, because I won't be able to thank everyone that's coming in, and also for the gifts as we get into it. Thank you, Fox. And I want you to do to be comfortable in this space. So if you're serious about being a part of the show, please, please, please contact me on Instagram, or send me an email. Now, listen, as I won't be able to maneuver through this space and monitor, I do have bouncers in the stream. We do not do disrespect. So just know that if you come in here and you choose to do whatever you do, you'll be gladly removed, because we are in here to be cohesive together, and they'll be happy to give you a lift. I promise you they will. So thank you so much. I want to appreciate the men that are on here today as our guests. We have the gentleman, and we also have Logic, and these are two men that are really greatly known on the app, and I love to hear their voices. I love to hear their insights and everything. And this morning we're going to be talking about healthy choices grow healthy relationships. Healthy choices grow healthy relationships. And so in this space, we're going to be talking about boundaries in dating. So again, let's not forget, I will not be able to thank you guys for coming in, your presence. Thank you for any gifting, but please don't feel it hesitant to make sure that you're, having conversations down there in the comments and everything. But we're going to definitely give the attention that our guests so deserve. And so we appreciate them being a part of this platform and coming to share. And so in here, we want to welcome everybody to his safe space again. It is at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I know that I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming in here, being a part of this, for sure. Welcome, 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 welcome. Our first guest that we're going to have come and sit in the seat of conversation is going to be the gentleman. So I'm going to ask the gentleman to please request the guest box and join me at this time. Please request the guest box and join me at this time. Good morning. So I'm going to turn off my comments now. Good morning. Good morning. I'm gonna make you a little bit medium. There we go.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Perfect. And I'm gonna move this way. Alrighty. So good morning. Thank you so much.
What's up, buddy?
First and foremost, I want you to take a moment and introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Screen name is The Gentleman. I'm 38 years old, originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I currently reside in Orlando, Florida. I have one daughter who's 20 years old. Well, she'll be 20 in May, Lord willing, as we speak that into existence. Um, I am a entrepreneur. I have my own clothing line, and I do massage business on the side as well. Um, a little bit about myself. As some of you may or may not know, I lost my mom at 10 years old. So it's been one of those things to where I've grown up without my mother. But I did have my grandmother and my grandfather, and, a host of other family members that were there to guide me along the way. So a lot of my upbringing is kind of old school. So I'm still with those old school traditional morals and values. But as we all know, you do have to, come to the times, and still be able to, be able to manifest and grow with the way things grow, and now in society somewhat. But at the end of the day, I always say I was created to love. That's just the way I feel. I was created to love, and that's just who I am as a person. I tell people all the time, I love unconditionally. I don't, I don't love people just because of what you can or cannot do for me. At the end of the day, I just feel like, if we have that connection with each other, and I feel like you can be a part of my circle, then that's just what it is. There's nothing that I wouldn't do for somebody, that I feel like is in my circle, or anybody in, at all for that matter. I don't put limits on, my blessings. So at the end of the day, if I can help, I will. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's really great because a lot of times in passing, we don't get to hear snippets of the people that we do connect within our community. So I'm always appreciative of the share. I want to definitely start out by asking you one first question, and I got a few that's going to be on here. Just take your time. We may get to all of them. We may get to a few of them, but whatever it is, I just want you to organically flow in your space. The first question that I have for you that I want to pose is, I know that dating won't cure a lonely heart. It just, it won't. I don't care what you're going through, just because you're going through your lonely phase and you was like, you know what, let me start to date. It's not going to cure that. So the question that I have for you is, what kind of boundaries do you set for yourself to ensure that you are not dating out of loneliness?
For one, I have to start my day off with prayer, because that allows me to get a understanding of, and knowing and continuously know that, I'm never alone, regardless of what I may or may not feel at that particular time. I mean, because we all go through, those particular days where you just wake up and you like, this is not my day, or I just wish I had my person, or whatever the case may be. But just, starting your day off with prayer and knowing, and having that relationship with, with the Lord is just one of those things to where, no matter what you go through, in your life and what you've been through, like, you didn't go through that alone. You didn't make it out of that alone. So that's just one of the things I said. And I understand that now anybody that I've come in contact with or try to pursue a relationship with has to have some type of relationship with the Lord. So that's definitely one boundary that I've set within my life, to make sure, because, that connection with that particular person on that spiritual level can take you so much further.
Thanks. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, the next question that I'll ask is, what boundaries have you created so that you don't repeat the past? Because that is the thing. We all have our experiences, but we have to definitely do something so we can learn and grow. So what are some boundaries that you've actually created so you don't repeat the past?
One I created for myself is actually, like, I don't really go to like clubs or, things like that. That's one boundary, because I kind of want to make sure that, I filter out what I want in my particular person. So in doing so, I'm not saying that you can't find great people in the club. And that's definitely not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying for me is, I make sure that my certain surroundings are of certain caliber of people. And in doing so, because I want to be in a certain place, 2, 3, 5 years from now. And I want my particular person to be able to either push me into those particular places. So I just make sure that's just one particular boundary. I also came to the point of I had to say that set a age boundary too.
Okay.
You know, as we all do, because don't get me wrong, you know, you are like, especially for women, we all know women mature faster than men, and I understand that, but there's still an aspect of maturity that is or may not be there, you know what I'm saying, with age.
Correct.
So I had to set an age boundary to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, I was putting myself in a particular bracket, should I say, with, you know, the maturity level in the women that I date. And especially because I have a daughter that's about to be 20. So,
okay,
you know, it's one of those things to where it's like, I don't want to date nobody that's that close to my daughter.
correct.
So, like, she looking at me like, Daddy, they almost my age. Like, so yeah.
That's my thing. I have adult children, so I can relate to that.
Right. So it's just like, you know, I don't want nobody to be like, oh, I saw your daughter at the club, or no, okay, no. Nah. So, but yeah, so that's one of the boundaries. And then also for me, I came to the realization of now this boundary was definitely for me, because I went through a lot. I've been through a lot in my life, and so I made sure I set the boundary to where I love myself more than I love the person that I'm trying to pursue. Because I was always one to give more than, you know what I'm saying, than I was receiving back. And I'm not saying that, you know what I'm saying, when you get into a relationship, you won't receive a little bit less than what you're giving. But I always want to go into a relationship with anybody giving 100% of myself. So I can't give 100% of myself to you and I don't have 100% to give. You see what I'm saying? So I have to make sure that I continuously love myself more than I love somebody else. And it's crazy because I heard, I don't know if a lot of y'all know, but Country Wayne said this. He was like, he allowed God to be his accountant. And what he was saying in that particular one, he says, if I allow God to be my accountant, he will let me know how much of myself to give to somebody else. And so that's why, you know, that's one of the biggest things. It resonated with me because I was one of those people that was just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm free. I can do whatever. Yeah. And then when it got down to the time where I needed somebody, I'm just looking around and there's nobody there. So I just had to come to the understanding of knowing, you know what I'm saying? You got to love yourself more than you love somebody else. So those are pretty much the main boundaries that I've set so far.
Those are healthy. I like that. Thank you for sharing. Now, another question that I have for you is, how have the boundaries that you have embraced helped you to know who you should date? Because that is a thing. Like, we create these boundaries, but they literally should be the processes that we're using to grow us into the person that we desire to become. And definitely, like you said, your steps being ordered. So with that, how have these boundaries that you have embraced helped you to know the who you should date?
So it's been one of those things to where it's allowed me to understand that people are going to let you know who they are up front. And I'm not saying everybody will, but at the end of the day, your discernment kicks in. You know what I'm saying? When you have that spiritual connection with the Father. Like, so now it's one of those things to where there's certain things that I pick up on that I used to not pick up on. So it allows me to understand, okay, this is, I'm not even going to say a red flag, but this is one of the things to where, you know, like, okay, this is not going to be it for you. She's not going to be the one. It's only going to take you so far, or a friendship could be developed, but that's about it. So it's allowed me to understand that certain connections are good, either for business or just association. But as far as a relationship goes, it's not one of those things, because I've understood now, like I said, I'm not getting any older, and I do want to be married one day. And there are some people that just, you know what I'm saying, are not ready for that type of commitment. And if they let you know that up front, don't be someone that tries to make somebody be ready for something that they're not. So with setting those particular boundaries, I've understood, like, nowadays I can maneuver in certain ways to understand, okay, this was a word that she said in the conversation, or this is a facial expression that was given, or body movement or something like that, to let you know, like, okay, this don't sit well with them. So then when I can pick up on those particular things, I begin to ask more questions to get more in depth of how they feel about certain things. And that way, you know, I can understand, okay, this is something that's, you know what I'm saying, it could be just, you know, surface, and it won't go any deeper than that.
Okay, that's good stuff. So give me some examples of boundaries that you have embraced to help you to know what you can live with and what you can't. Because I think that this is something that's very important for us, like you were saying about knowing yourself. So
Mhm.
so in this process, give us an example of a boundary that this is something I can live with, but this is something that I can't live with, in knowing that.
Um, I'll just go back to the relationship with God. That's the main one. And I say that because I was in a situation to where I met a person that doesn't believe. And so I
Mm,
was just like, what I'm saying, we had a great vibe, we had a great chemistry. And then, what I'm saying, there were certain things that I would say or certain, what I'm saying, things that I would do. And it's just like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna stop you from doing it, but I'm not gonna do it. And it's just like understanding and knowing that type of connection that you have with a person on a spiritual level,
mm,
and knowing that if you're going through something, if that person can pray you through that particular thing, that's like
mm,
none other. Because when you have that connection with that particular person, and it's one of them days to where the devil is trying everything that he can, and you can't,
mm-hmm.
within yourself, you can't go to God because you feel like I'm just
You're just
depleted.
weak.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that particular person can give you the strength through the prayer that they're praying for you, or whatever type of strength that they have, because they have a strong relationship with God, is a totally different, what I'm saying, game changer for you. And it allows you to
Right.
come through things that you wouldn't be able to come through on your own. So that was just, for me, it made me understand to where, like, you have to have this particular connection, because if you don't, then so especially with me growing up in church and being
Mm-hmm.
raised and being groomed and everything within, within Christ, I know, like, that's a most definite for me.
Gotcha. Wow. Wow. So we know you're definitely. What is the thing that? What is one thing you can't live with?
um
You would say.
an emotionally unattached or an emotionally unavailable person.
I get that. I've been there, and it is a very painful place to be.
Right.
To be honest, I've been there. Ooh, that's a big one. That's a
Most
whole
definitely,
nother
because and the thing about it is,
conversation.
right,
Mm-hmm.
the thing about it is, when people will let you know, you may have a connection with a person, but when a person really understands who they are and what they can and cannot handle, and they let you know that, please don't take it the wrong way. And it's not a knock
Absolutely.
against you. It's not a knock against you.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I have a friend of mine now, like, we have a great connection, great vibe and everything. But she be like, yo, I ain't ready for nothing right now. And I'm like, she's like, I've been single since 2014. I ain't trying to deal with nobody. She's like, I already got one son about to graduate this year. Then I got another son that graduated in another 2.5 years. So at the moment, I just want to be free to do me. And I'm like, I understand that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about me trying to
Facts.
convince you of anything.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Because people know what they can and can't handle. And if they don't want to handle it, it's going to put you in a bind to where you put so much into this person, and you know what I'm saying? You get to the point to where you feel like you can make this person change when you can't. Nobody's going to
True.
change unless they want to.
Unless they
So
want
do
to.
not
That's facts.
convince yourself that you can convince them into changing just to be with you. You can't.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So the last question that I have for you is: I believe that you should not fall in love with someone. I believe that you should not fall in love with someone that you wouldn't be friends with. And the
Oh,
reason
most
why I
definitely.
make this statement, listen, he was like, oh, no, oh, listen. But the reason why I make this statement is because you hear a lot of people when you talk about friendship, there's this tension of the not friends. But I believe that you should not fall in love with someone you wouldn't be friends with. So definitely. So go ahead and expound on your thoughts, because you already said, oh no. So let's go ahead and get that thing.
Yeah, that's most definitely, like, I don't, like, if you can't be friends with your particular mate, and I'm gonna say it like this: at the end of the day, we know you're gonna love your person that you're with. But if you don't like the person that you're with, that's a strain on your relationship.
It
Because
is.
at the end of the day, you're gonna come home And 9 times out of 10, you might sit in your car for another hour and a half before you walk in the door because you're like, man, I do not like being around this person when I get in the house. Like, we just don't connect on whatever level at this particular moment. I just don't like the attitude. I just don't like, you know what I'm saying? So the friendship develops a bond to where no matter what you go through in life, you're going to be able to talk about certain things that you would normally not talk about with somebody else. You're going to be able to, you know what I'm saying, get an understanding from them, because that friendship that you develop in the beginning is going to be inseparable if you do it the right way. You know what I'm saying? So when you become friends with a person first, when it comes to dating, then, you know what I'm saying, everything else is pretty much good. Because like,
you can work through it. Yeah.
Right. A lot of people feel like, you know what I'm saying, they can't date their friend. And it's just like, because they don't want to mess up the friendship. But it's just, you know, a lot of times when you get to a certain point, you know, even when people that say, you know, I'm not attracted to them physically or anything like that, once you become friends with somebody, sometimes things change. And then you get an attraction because you think about the mindset of a person and, you know, how they act and how they do things. And you see that those particular things mesh with the way you do things. And it's just like, now, okay, I see them in a whole nother light now. So yes, most definitely being friends with, you know what I'm saying, your significant other is a must for you.
Awesome. Listen, thank you.
This is my line.
Really
appreciate you.
I really appreciate you. Listen, definitely, I want you to go ahead and click that Xbox, stay in the comments, because of course I'm going to bring you back up later on. But I want to thank you so much, guys. This is The Gentleman. I appreciate your contribution. Welcome to his safe space. Kick it off on Thursdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know it is exceptionally early for so many that you're like, what in the world? How do we get here? Listen, y'all done lost y'all mind, but listen, it is worth coming in to hear these men speak upon their life stories and their experiences that they're having, and then for us to take those, because I don't know about you, I can speak for myself that this has been very helpful for me to learn and grow in this space, to where I am a woman who is very intentional about dating and really in connecting with my life partner. And so in that space, I want to position myself in such a way, because I have my moments of where I'm nervous about the process. I'm very nervous about it. You know, I'm nervous about, you know, going through vetting, hanging out, meeting up. Like, it's a lot of things that's going on. But I also understand that it is necessary for the process. And so when I can hear the voices of me and we can share, I'm learning and I'm growing, it's helping me to get over these hurdles that I am experiencing in this space. So I really appreciate the voices that come in and the transparency, because sometimes you don't get to hear certain things on the other side of the mountain when you're in the thick of it, trying to get to know someone. So I appreciate listening to try to connect the dots. And so now I'm going to ask for Logic to request the date box. And I think, well, not the date box, the guest box. And I think that he's already in here. And we're going to bring up Logic. And Logic, when I bring you in, if you will, please, sir, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about yourself. Oh, we wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready.
Okay. I feel honored. You better act like y'all know.
Come on now. Yeah, so Logic, been a streamer for 2 years now. Musician, I think that's the biggest part of me, or one of the biggest part of me. Musician, I love conversations. I'm from South Carolina. I'm a country guy, but I reside in San Diego, California. I've been here for about 12 years. So, yeah, simple guy. Love conversation, love music. So.
Well, you look absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate you so very much.
I appreciate it.
Do you have like a set streaming schedule, or you just doing you?
It's been pretty random, but I am going to have a scheduled time to where it's going to be primarily in the afternoons, Pacific time. So that's don't know exactly when that's going to start, but it should happen. So
it should happen. Okay, perfect. So okay, Logic. So let's get down to the basics. So thank you so much for allowing me to kind of pick your brain and to hear your thought process. I believe that putting boundaries in place for yourselves helps you to not ruin platonic friendships.
Yes,
Platonic friendships out of loneliness, because that is a thing. Okay.
I agree.
What are your thoughts about that?
There's an echo, so let me do this.
Okay. And we don't hear an echo on our side, I don't believe. So yeah, definitely.
Okay. So I do agree with that. I think the boundaries for me, though, if I were to make it personally, the boundaries for me that would keep a platonic friendship platonic is just monitoring the conversations that we would have.
Okay.
I think there has to be boundaries within conversations, because there's certain, even if it's banter, because not everybody could take a joke as a joke. A lot of people take it seriously. So
I agree.
so whenever we talk about the conversations, there have to be strict boundaries concerning that, because you want to make sure you're not speaking to a void that either one of us have, and then we kind of fall into this whole situation to where we find that like there's a need for you beyond just platonic friendships. So
Okay,
definitely
that's what's
boundaries
up.
and conversation.
Okay, so definitely the driving the conversation is very, very key. And being conscious about the things that you are talking
Absolutely.
about, because I think even for me, like I have to be able to make sure that if listen, I'm not on this journey trying to have a whole bunch of platonic, friendships with men that I'm meeting. But if by chance I have one and I understand that I am, I have a platonic friendship and I do experience loneliness, I don't want to cross that boundary. So I love to be able to hear that perspective on how to keep that streamlined and always keep that in the viewpoint. So how has embracing boundaries ensured that it's not too much too fast? Because we talk about our pace. And going at our pace is so important. So if someone is not moving us the way they want us to move. So how has embracing boundaries that you created ensured that it's not too much too fast?
So with the boundaries, it allows you, one of the important things about boundaries, it allows you to understand who the person is that you're talking to, and understand like what they can handle, and even what you can handle from them. Because I don't think boundaries should be just what you allow the person to tread upon, but also what you tread upon
Yourself.
concerning that person. So I think that's what different people have different impacts. Like I think everyone has a power, right? So you have a power, a strong point that you're able to penetrate in certain people. I do as well. Like some people just have that gift. So it allows us to monitor our power and monitor the power of someone else, because someone may be able to speak to something in me in a way that another person may not be able to. So it kind of like monitors the power that we all have.
Okay. In that exchange and balancing it out. I like that. I like that. Okay. So now having healthy boundaries in relationships, it helps you to like kiss what I deem to be false hope goodbye. I hate giving people false hope. I really do. So what are your thoughts centered around creating these healthy boundaries so that you're not giving people or the person that you may be interested in, or someone that may see you in a platonic way, false hopes in this space?
I'll go back to just knowing your power.
Okay.
Or knowing your charm. Like everyone has a particular charm. Everyone knows, like especially at this age, like that thing that tends to get everyone, right? So I think in knowing your charm, knowing yourself, knowing what to pull back from, because I think we joke about it sometimes, saying like, girl, you ain't ready for this, or boy, dude, you ain't ready for this, because I'll have your head over here.
Yeah.
but I think there's some truth. Goodness. I think there's some truth to that, right? I think everyone has a major charm. Everyone has a power. And in knowing yourself, and I think those boundaries, to back up, I think a part of setting boundaries is and being effective in that is knowing yourself, knowing yourself. So whenever you just know what to hold back concerning people.
I think like in that space, like when you talk about those things and you brought up charm, like, because I know that I have a personality that I can be charming. So you really are putting some things on my mind when you said that.
Right.
So like for me, like I would not want to give someone false hope, but I also have been in a situation where someone is very charming to me. But in that space, it puts it in perspective to say this person, that may be their design, their personality charming. It's not that they're charming in a way to where they're being flirtatious or have an interest. So balancing that becomes very, very important.
Oftentimes,
there's levels to this.
It's not intentional. Oftentimes, there's just certain things that we have about ourselves that seem to impact most people.
I see that.
That's just
I'm learning
the thing.
that.
And sometimes we start something or start a fire in someone that we are totally unaware of. Next thing you know, they're in love with us, and we're like, dude, what are you talking about, our lady? What's going on?
Yeah,
so it's the charm.
and we have to balance this out, because I guess, like you said, that's starting a fire, because I've talked to someone that has that charisma, and because I naturally have that gravitational pull to people that has that, you know, type of charisma, I have to be careful in those spaces, because it's like, oh man, that's sexy, that's attractive, but that may not be for you, boo. Okay, so moving to the next part of this. So so one thing that I know, that when we adopt boundaries, it really equips us in being able to say no to disrespect. And this is a big one. A lot of times we find ourselves in relationships because, again, we are talking about healthy choices that grow healthy relationships. So with this saying no to disrespect, a lot of times the boundaries are there to help you to say no. What are your thoughts centered around that, and how you balance out and can, I guess, kind of like see disrespect and deal with it when you've been in these type of situations?
Are we speaking solely within relationships or just in general?
Dual, platonic, and romantic.
Okay, so one of the things that I noticed, and I'll just go to the streaming world.
Okay.
A lot of people have been more than I believe that were really convinced about the whole pastor situation concerning me, right?
They thought you was a whole pastor. Okay.
They thought I was an old pastor. Many of them did. Many of them did, and I think it was partially, I guess, you know, the way I speak and some of the boundaries that I was set in the streams. So because they thought this, that caused them to not really speak to me in certain ways that they would probably speak to another person.
I can see that. I can see it.
And it was so interesting, because sometimes I want to be a part of those conversations. Sometimes I want to be a part of the banter. But some people are like, no, we're not going to do that with you. So I think that showed me in really how you conduct yourself, and the consistency that you conduct yourself in allows the boundaries to just automatically happen. And you don't even have to verbalize those boundaries, Billington. So you don't even have to verbalize those. I think the consistency in who you are sets the boundaries automatically, because people are always reading you. People are always, you know, wanting to become familiar with you, and just notice the system that you set for yourself. So I think the consistency of your character, the consistency of your character oftentimes sets the boundaries without you having to do anything.
I like that. So then now, how do you, because this, and I have to bring up these type of conversations because, of course, being in streaming, like, you see a lot of different things. But of course, even offline, we have experiences as well. So to me, I know that platonic friendships and romantic friendships are two separate things. Absolutely. I understand this. How do you prioritize friendship within your relationship, being that there is a difference between platonic and romantic, without it being confusing?
Say that one more time. How do I prioritize?
How do you prioritize those that? So let me circle back like this.
Okay.
You may have people who hands down are platonic friends, but they very well could be romantically interested in you. Sure. Boundaries are necessary. But you could also have someone that you're romantically interested in friendship is necessary. So that is in essence the romantic friendship that takes you to the relationship. How do you prioritize that, like knowing the difference and keeping the boundaries there so that there's no confusion versus the person that you would be?
I think
dating.
Okay.
Friends dating.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think with both of those individuals, you would have to establish the outcome that you want from both of them. I think that's the first thing. What is the outcome that you need, that you want to have from both of those people? And I think the outcome would determine like what turf you should tread upon and what turf you just shouldn't. Probably with the person that I want to maintain friendships with, and right back to what the first question you asked, there are certain conversations that we can't have.
Absolutely.
There are certain points of there are certain things that you can't call me about, even as a friend, especially with the opposite sex. Even as a friend, if we want to keep this whole platonic situation platonic, there's just certain things, certain conversations there's certain things you got to go to your sister or your brother on, and I can't have, because then knowing the charm that you have, I may speak to something in you that makes you see me something other
that
than
is so real. Real.
Platonic.
Okay.
And so I guess with the person that you want a relationship with at the end of the day, I want to say like, look, we ain't got no boundaries, but I think
like when it's romantic, ain't no boundaries. We in this thing.
But I think I think there's more leeway with the boundaries for that person, right? Because I want to fulfill whatever you need at whatever time. But at the same thing, no, actually there are boundaries with that person. I don't know. There are certain things that I don't want to, that I would be careful to expose, that won't turn you off, that I would probably do with a friend. Because there's certain things that I would share with a friend that it doesn't matter, because I don't want you to see me romantically anyway, that I probably wouldn't with the person. Yeah, I kind of have to go over that in my head again to give you.
I got you. That's okay.
Yeah,
and I'm sure something may pop up, and then when we come into our panel, you'll probably have a thought process that comes, and that's all good. I just love to be able to hear the voices and everything. Okay, so Logic, that was your last question that I have for you. You can certainly go ahead and exit, stay put. I'm gonna bring both you and gentlemen back up, and we're gonna chop it up a little bit more. Listen, y'all, I just love, like, I'm learning so much. Like just listening, to these men. I'm learning so much because it is so necessary to be able to be very conscious of creating boundaries and balance when it comes to these spaces. And I understand that there's certainly, you have these platonic friendships that you're cultivating, and then there's definitely like this romantic interest. And so with all this information that I am obtaining and how I'm learning from this space, it's really helping me to digest and say, okay, if you truly have friend zoned someone, because that's the thing, I curve all day, every day. But if you have friend zoned someone, how to ensure that you are very intentional about that space as far as friend zoning that, that person, so that they are not having casual conversations with you. They are not having conversations that open up and creates this connection with you to where now there's this vulnerability and you're basically fostering these feelings, with them. So just being very intentional about that and hearing that, because I think a huge thing for me is I'm not interested in having a lot of friendships while I'm on this single journey, but I have understood that I have made some connections, associations, and those people are great friends, and I don't ever want to confuse the two. So this is really helpful for me to be able to put things into perspective. I hope you guys are enjoying his safe space. Listen, we are talking about healthy choices that grow healthy relationships. So we are totally all in boundaries in dating this morning. Key thing. I want you to know that we do this Thursdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are interested if you are interested in being a part of the stream, if you are interested in being a part of the stream, you want to be a guest, please feel free to contact me on Instagram. You can DM me, and then you can also email me if you don't have Instagram at whendocsspeaks@gmail.com. Those are the two ways that you can contact me, and please keep it business professional, as I don't entertain those connections where they're coming in there with that I just contacted you because I'm trying to get next to you type of thing. It's not that I'm not here for dating, it's just there's a way to go about it, and it just is what it is. So I'm going to ask both of the guys that are here, both of my guests, to please request the box again. And we're going to get rocking and rolling this morning. And remember, my comments are off. So I'm just here talking in la la land. My comments are off. So if you have gifted, thank you for the gifts. Thank you for everybody that is here in the conversation that is engaging. Gentlemen, if both you and Logic can request the guest box, please, at this time. Oh, listen. He's like, I'm in here. And y'all know I get a little challenged.
Sorry.
Okay. Awesome. So thank you, gentlemen, so much again for being present with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
for your transparency, and I appreciate this because this is a recorded session, and so I appreciate y'all coming in and representing very, very well. And this is not a misrepresentation of who you are. This is who you are. So thank you for being in your authentic selves of who you are. I appreciate it. I want to have this cross-panel discussion this morning. And the question that I'm going to pose to both of you men, and we'll start with Logic, and then gentlemen, you can chime in.
Okay.
Do you think people are beginning to question why we should even date now more than ever because of the challenges that we're experiencing?
I do. There's not an echo that you guys hear. Okay, so yeah, I do. But I think the majority of the reason is because maybe it's subconscious. The options that most people think they have, right? I think it's just I don't think we have like a realistic image of how slim it is. I think some of us do, but I don't think the majority of us do. So, you know what? I'm going to ask you to repeat the question again because I don't know why it just slipped my head. Because I was traveling there, but the car stopped.
It is totally okay.
The car stopped.
So the reality is that we're talking about healthy choices, growing healthy relationships. Obviously, we're talking about boundaries in dating. But do you think people are beginning to question why we should even date now more than ever, based off of these experiences that we're having? Okay,
that's where it was going. Yes, I mean we're all just trying to. A lot of us are trying to just fulfill something, and not just not believe truly that one person can do it because we think there's just better that we can receive, and that's just not the truth. I think everybody, for the most part, is just looking for that better. Nobody wants to be satisfied because everybody wants that other thing that may be better than what we have at this particular moment.
And that definitely feels like that. Gentlemen?
I concur. I really feel like nowadays, like you said, like we have so many more options opened up to us now to where, you have social media, you have platforms like this to where you can get to know so many people at a rapid pace, and understanding that like there's no real genuineness in getting to know one particular person anymore. Because, when we were all coming up, it was 9 times out of 10, you really couldn't talk to nobody till after 9 because ain't nobody had no minutes to burn throughout the day. Or
not after 9.
Right. Or your parents wouldn't let you get on the phone, but for so long, then you're on the phone, you're trying to talk to get to know somebody, then your mom get on the phone like, why you still on my phone? Like, so, it's just one of those things. So when you had the time, you made sure you took the time to get to really know that person. And now it's
That
just
is
like,
so true.
now it's just like you said, like everybody is just so trying to fill whatever type of void that they feel like they have at that time. So if you meet this particular void filler at this particular time, then you're my person. Tomorrow it might be something else that I need from somebody else. So I'm gonna go talk to somebody else and figure out what it is from them. You know what I'm saying? So now it's just one of those things to where everybody's just everywhere because it's something that they feel like they want to do at that particular time. And it ain't even really got anything to do with being genuine. It's just, okay, this is what I'm feeling today. So, okay, I can call Suzanne today. I can call Tyrone tomorrow or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So one of those things, I just really feel like it just has to get back to a genuineness of really wanting to get to know somebody and really trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, a genuine connection to understand that, hey, there is one person out here for me.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And my thing is this, you can't fit, nobody in this world can fill a void. A void is something that no person can ever fill. So don't try to have a person to fill a void, because a void is just something that's like a black hole almost. No person can fill a black hole.
Absolutely.
That's something where you have to have a spiritual connection with the Father to understand, like, hey, I need to go to him to figure out what this void is and what the root of this problem is. And I need to work this out with him so I can get this void filled. Because a person is only supposed to add to you. They're not supposed to necessarily fill anything that you need. They're supposed to be someone that adds to you. So allow and understanding that when a person adds to you, they're not filling a void. They're just giving you everything else that you already have that's filled. And they're just, you know what I'm saying, multiplying that on top of what you already have.
Awesome. Okay. So now, because we're talking about boundaries, so typically, like when you first like heard like this whole boundary things and it became a reality to you, like realistically, like what, when you hear that word, like what does it really resonate with you when you really hear like hardcore? What does that really mean to you if you were able to define it in your terms?
Boundaries for me are just things that I have to restrict myself from. And what I have to just create barriers for concerning people. One of the interesting things that I've learned about boundaries from past experiences that I really had to, in order to maintain boundaries, I really had to have a confidence within myself in order to do that. Because insecurities, most insecure people, you know, lack in boundaries, right?
Very true.
And so
very true.
Whenever you're insecure, and that void that we were talking about, we open the floodgates and expect any and everything to fulfill that empty space or that void that we need, because we're just looking for something to just fulfill it, you know, just give us that fulfillment. So there's a lack of boundaries in that, and I know that was for me in a sense, because there wasn't, you know, a healthy level of confidence that I had. I mean, I needed the validation. So because I needed the validation, you know, come one, come all, and validate me. This is, you know, in my younger.
I got you.
My younger. Yeah, because you know the validation was needed, the boundaries weren't exercised.
Awesome. Gentlemen.
Right. For me, I feel like nowadays, like I said, because it's been a challenge throughout the years, but now I feel like when I hear boundaries, I hear discipline, because you have to be disciplined enough to be able to even set those particular boundaries for yourself, and also understand to have the discipline to understand someone else's boundaries that you don't cross. So that's what I think about when I, you know what I'm saying, when I hear the word boundaries, because you got to understand, like, some people can set boundaries for themselves and still don't have the discipline to carry them out. You know what I'm saying? You can say all day long that I'm gonna stop drinking, and I'm gonna take steps to stop drinking, but then you get around certain people that you know drink.
And there you go.
And there you go. You know what I'm saying? But understanding and having discipline, okay, I know y'all drink, so I'm gonna go back over on this corner where, you know what I'm saying, I know my friends don't drink, so I ain't tempted. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta understand, you know what I'm saying, and know when you set those particular boundaries, make sure you have the discipline to carry those things out. And really, when it comes to other people's boundaries, that's the main thing, because a lot of people set boundaries and we feel like we can tiptoe around those boundaries to get to where we want to get to with those particular people, and not understanding that everybody set boundaries for a reason. So you don't want nobody to break your boundaries or cross your boundaries. So why would you do that to someone else? You see what I'm saying? So that's just pretty whatever it is for me. I just think, you know what I'm saying, you have to have the discipline when you have certain boundaries set.
I agree. So then this leads me to my next thing, because I believe where there is deception, there is no relationship. I don't care how you flip it, tap it, whatever you want to do with it. It's just none. Deception has no place in a relationship. And so this is why you should require and embody truth when it comes to being in relationships. What are your thoughts around deception and the boundaries that you create around when someone may either come at you with deception or you find them to be deceiving right out the gate? How do you maneuver in that space?
So I want to take it another direction if you
okay,
want,
do what
right?
you do. Do what you do.
So I actually think in a weird type of way, there's some great relationships built on deception.
My. Okay. I'm listening.
Delete the great. Like, I mean, we know. Look,
because I'm black and white. I don't do that gray area stuff. I'm floored with you, sir.
There are some long-lasting relationships built on deception.
I hear what you're saying. Uh-huh.
Based on what a lot of people don't know. I can even look at in my past relationships and probably in your past relationships where you thought that it was just the best thing since sliced bread.
And then you discovered something.
And then you discovered that it was just total falsities. Like you just knew that it wasn't built on anything worth having. Now we already know that it's going to disintegrate. That building is not going to be left standing, but a relationship can be built. A long-lasting relationship can be built on deception, but the fall is hard. The fall is very detrimental. It sometimes it even ends in death at times. But preferably, and I understand what you're saying. Preferably, it shouldn't exist, and it shouldn't exist. Deception shouldn't exist because it then kind of it causes so many issues. The times where relationships have been, I've built relationships in deception, not my own deception, but it was built within. I left the relationship feeling majorly insecure. Right, I thought it was me. It just birthed so many issues that just.
I got you. It does. It definitely. Gentlemen.
When it comes to deception, I feel like people deceive people only because they feel like it's something that they see or feel in a person that they don't want to lose. And
that happens.
It gets to a point to where you fall in love with the potential of a person. So when you fall in love with the potential of a person, what happens is then, okay, you get to seeing all these pictures of future in your mind and saying
thinking about the future projection.
Right. So this could be this and this could be that. But knowing deep down in the inside, it's just like, okay, I can't tell them this because they may react in this particular way. And if they react in this particular way, it's going to cause them to see me in a totally different light. And then this may be over with.
Absolutely.
But so what I've come to understand now is get it out on the table in the beginning. Because if you get it out on the table in the beginning, and I'm not saying that you have to sit here and spew everything out in the, in the first stages of dating, but giving a person an option to choose yes or no, I can deal with this, is the best thing that you can ever do. And I had to learn that myself. Like, I'm not, a perfect person. And I've been through some stuff to where I was like, listen, I'm going to tell you that I'm 25 when I'm really ain't, but 21 right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things to where if you give a person an option, a lot of times we don't understand. A lot of people can deal with a lot of things that we carry, and you just don't know it because you don't give them the option to even try to deal with it.
That is so real.
Right. So when you give them that option, you may find out that they say, okay, well, cool. You were honest with me about it. You know what I'm saying? It's something that I've either dealt with before and I know I can deal with it, or it's something I've dealt with before and I can't, or it's something I've never dealt with and I'm willing to give it a chance. So when it comes to deception, you know what I'm saying? It's a major downfall, like you said. When it gets to that point and a person finds out something that they've never known, or you finally show that particular face that you've never shown, and it's a shock to them, and it's just like, wow, like, I never knew you could be this type of person. You know what I'm saying? Well, why would you ever lie to me about, you know what I'm saying, whatever it could be? Now you got to get back to where you got to build that trust back up. And we all know that building trust is one of the hardest things to do after you've lost it from somebody. So yeah, when it comes to deception, that's a real major thing. And I think, you know what I'm saying, if we're just honest, and it starts with yourself, be honest with yourself first. You know what I'm saying? If you're honest with yourself first, it's a whole lot easier to be honest with somebody else.
Yeah, I think many of us aren't like choose deception, or people who have chosen deception from the beginning figure that they can clean up. I don't think it's all the time done maliciously. I think some people just believe that they can clean up as they go. That by the time
people do believe that.
Yeah. By the time that you detected this deception, I would have already built up enough credibility to where it doesn't matter anyway. You know what I'm saying? You might have told the lady that you were 21 years old, but by the time she saw your maturity level and everything that you were able to handle, when she found out that you were 21, it doesn't matter anyway because he does all this. So that's very minute. You know, now that I know what he's capable of.
Right. And then, I mean, even with that though, like you get to a point to where you feel like you can clean it up. And even though you may be able to clean it up, it may be one of those things that to them is higher on their list. You see what I'm saying? Like, because for some people, if you lie to them, it's over with. They may can take you cheating on them, but if you lie to them, it's a wrap from jump. You see what I'm saying?
It's like it's game over.
Right. So
that is so real.
You just have to know you know what I'm saying? You really have to know the person. You really have to know yourself. And like I said, in knowing yourself and knowing, you know what I'm saying? And that goes back to discipline again. Like if you have the discipline to be honest with yourself and to be honest with them, then you should be okay. I don't think you should be able to, or you should have to, you know what I'm saying, be dishonest.
Fair.
Gotcha. Now, so I got one last thing before we check out of here, and then I'm gonna have y'all drop out the box, and then we're gonna open it up for all of our amazing viewers who are present. I know they want to, you know, get in here on this conversation. I'm sure the comments have been off the chain. So, oh my gosh, y'all, thank you so much for your voices this morning. I really sincerely appreciate you. The last thing that I want to ask you as we progress is I believe that boundaries help us to absolutely, hands down, recognize, it helps us to recognize who we should choose by way of quality over perfection. I'm not looking for perfection, but I do want a quality person. So, in this space, what are your thoughts centered around that as far as boundaries and helping you to recognize who is for you in the quality of the person?
Boundaries help with contentment. Instead of
content. I like that.
Right. Instead, because I think a part of looking for the perfect person is, I think it stems from just being like having this insatiable desire for people, like for somebody, like you're never satisfied. But I think boundaries allow you to know that the important things that you're receiving, or the things that you are receiving from one person, it's important. It's important enough. Like it's the important aspects of what you need to sustain a relationship. So I think utilizing boundaries keeps you away from looking for that perfect thing, that perfect
the thing that'll give you false hope.
That perfect, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that there. I think the boundaries just helps with contentment. It helps you from just being satisfied, not settling or anything. Because I think that
I like that content, being satisfied.
Yeah, just being content. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, gentlemen.
I mean, I concur. Like, I really feel like in an instance though, I'm not saying that no one is perfect, but you can be perfectly you, because no one is designed to be you. You'll never be the perfect person for any and everyone at the end of the day, but you can be perfectly you at the end of the day, because we were created in His image. But and on the same aspect of understanding that, you have to know that, you know what I'm saying, we all gonna come with some mess, no matter what it is in your life.
Period.
We all gonna come with.
We all got our isms.
Right.
Yeah.
So in understanding that, you know, like, it's like I say all the time, you know what you can do. So then you understand, okay, boom, this is a quality person because they're able to tell me, or to able to allow me to see them in that particular light of their downfall, or their, you know what I'm saying, imperfections at that particular point in time. And I can deal with that particular issue. You know what I'm saying? So when we get to that point, now you understand, okay, boom, it's not so bad that this particular person does this, or, you know what I'm saying, that's a little bit too much for me to handle, but, you know, I can stretch it a little bit and see how far this band can go. And if it don't pop, I'm good with that. I can bend and it may not break. So yeah, I just, you know.
Y'all have empowered me. Thank you so much. And I know that the people that are in this stream are empowered. Y'all can exit yourself out the box. Listen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate. Make sure y'all hit them with the fave, guys. Catch them. They do stream.
Appreciate you.
They are definitely around. If you have something that's going on, you've already heard their voices. You know that they are absolutely amazing at presentation and would be great at being a part of what you have going on the streams. These are my featured guests, the gentleman and Logic. Thank you so much for your transparency. Again, guys, this is His Safe Space. I welcome everybody. I appreciate your presence being here. We do this on Thursdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are interested in being one of my featured guests, please connect with me by clicking on the box up there. Go to IG. Send me a DM, let me know that you want to be on the show. Or if you don't have access to Instagram, you may contact me by email at whendocspeaks@gmail.com. I would love to have you. And listen, you may know someone that would be amazing to be on the show. Send them my way. I do referrals. I love referrals. So send them my way, okay? We want more men to get their voices, because we know that His Safe Space is a space for us, men and women, to come and learn from each other, simply because we're not here to agree or disagree, but we are here to understand. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I am going to definitely open up this date box so we can get rocking and rolling. I saw something transpire.